So I promise you one true thing that Donald Trump said. He said, look, I took advantage of a tax law that you and Obama wrote. That was true. So Obama administration created a loophole after the Great Recession. They justified it by saying we need rich people to have more money so that they could stimulate the economy. So we're going to allow you to write off expenses from over 2 years ago, even if they have nothing to do with your current expenses. And Trump jumped into that and wrote off expenses that he had from his many bankruptcies. Now, the reality is Trump still cheated in that case. And that's why the IRS then sued to get the money back, because he couldn't help himself. He didn't abide by the letter of the law, and what he did, if not bordering on tax evasion, is tax evasion, and we'll sort that out legally after the election, I hope. But it is true that Obama created that loophole, and in fact, the reason why the IRS gave him the $72 million they're trying to take back now is because part of the law was the IRS must give people the money based on faith within 90 days, and so that was a terrible mistake, and that's what allowed Trump to basically steal $72 million from US taxpayers. Now, of course, he left out that second part, but the first part about Obama creating that law was true. Michael, I know you got to clear out
just one thing on that, and one thing that if I were Biden that I would do next time is sort of talk about how the vice president doesn't have anything to do with what the policy of the presidency is. And I think we all know that, and I think that he could challenge and talk about Mike Pence in that way. I wouldn't say nothing, but I do think that there, when you talk about taxation, that's an Obama legacy, not necessarily a Biden legacy.
I hear you on that. On the other hand, he takes credit for a lot of things.
Oh, for sure, no, absolutely. But I'm just talking about what you can do and get away with, and he didn't do enough of the other. But you're right. He owns everything good that happened under Obama, but he doesn't fight back at everything that's labeled as a bad thing to come out of that administration and tie him to it. But that's just little stuff.
Right, and then now I don't want you to get the wrong impression, because I told you basically this is our fact check. We found one true thing Trump said. Almost everything else was a lie, and it's not an exaggeration. I mean, when he got into mail-in ballots, I mean, it was outlandish. All these military votes are thrown in the garbage because they said Trump on it. Why would a mail-in ballot write Trump on the outside? That makes no sense, right? They found all these ballots in the creek. What creek? What are you talking about, you lunatic? And then
the Billion Tree Project, I Googled it afterwards. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Right.
Of course.
At his State of the Union, Anna, he introduced a trillion tree project. So it's been cut from a trillion to a billion, and none of it exists.
So. Well, there is the Trillion Tree campaign, which doesn't have anything to do with him.
Totally different. It's international, right? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, and I mean, I'm going to do a plug for a sponsor just because it's perfect. There actually is a campaign by Aspiration and they've already planted 2 million trees. So we'll only pick sponsors that are actually progressive and wonderful. So that's why I say you should put your money where your heart is and go with folks who are actually trying to do good in the world. So aspiration.com/TYT. They've already planted 2 million trees. Every time you sign up, they plant 10 trees. You could round up to plant more trees. That's a real program, as opposed to Trump making up nonsense, right? And then finally, he said already 30 to 40% of the mail-in votes are fraudulent. How do you know? Right. And if they are, why didn't you arrest them? You're the president. I mean, what are you talking about? 30 to 40%? Right. That is so outlandish. It's not anywhere near 3 to 4% historically, let alone 30 to 40%. But on top of that, how would you even know? And if you did know, why didn't you do something about it?
Of course, those are the seeds he's planting for what happens after the election. They're not tree seeds. All right, guys, I'm being kicked out, so I got to go.
All right, thank you, Michael. I like security removing Michael in the middle of the show in Cleveland. Okay, that's what you get for asking the communications director for Trump tough questions. But overall, the unbelievable lies from Donald Trump. I don't know if the fact checkers can debunk dozens, maybe even he might have crossed 100 in the lies that he said tonight.
Can I list one more of the things that I think Biden really failed with an opportunity for? Was we knew that the New York Times report was going to come out and that was going to be a big thing. And there's everything that you've said about how he could have harped more on the fact that there's this elitist who's getting away with paying nothing, all of that stuff, all of that is true. But another big failure was that a reasonable person who hasn't read the 10,000 word long New York Times article could come out of that debate thinking what Trump did is extreme but legal. When that is not what you should take away from that article. There are a number of different avenues in that article that the New York Times is going to be expanding on the near future that very much moves into the territory of things that are likely actually illegal. The paying off of his kids as contractors, he did that. That's not in a tax bill. He's not supposed to do that. The 7-seaters investment property that's just a place they live in, that is probably tax fraud. The fact that some of his properties, the operating expenses quintupled from one year to the next, that's not just a totally cool legal thing that he did. There's so much here that is clearly not just the normal rich get to abuse the system sort of thing. He appears to have in multiple cases gone way beyond the law to commit actual tax fraud. But if you 100%. Were just watching this debate, you wouldn't come away with that impression. You'd think, he didn't spend enough.
100%, you're so right. John, you're so right. That was one other thing, and I'm glad that you brought this up. Yeah, you committed tax fraud, period. That's it. $72 million refund. He got a $72 million refund from the IRS. That's what he's being audited for. I mean, I would say audited for right now, but that audit has been paused because he's the president. He committed tax fraud. Why didn't Biden say it? Just say it. Well, working class Americans in this country have dutifully paid their taxes. You got a tax refund to the tune of $72 million because you committed tax fraud based on what your own former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, said under oath while testifying before the House. Period, that's all you have to say. Anyway, it's just, God, it's so disappointing that we're in the place that we're at right now with this weak ass candidate who doesn't even remember the line of attack to use against this target rich environment. Great, awesome, most electable president. Because why? Because Democrats are so feckless and so pathetic that they would rather appeal to like the 2% of never Trump Republicans that run the Lincoln Project while giving the middle finger to progressive voters. Great, we'll see how that works out for you. I hope he wins because Trump is a disaster. But they're taking a giant risk right now with, again, a weak candidate who consistently gets pushed further to the right by Donald Trump. Donald Trump should be laughed at on that stage. Biden should laugh at him, and every time Trump tries to pull him to the right, he should laugh more and talk about why his policies would be better, why progressive policies would be better, why Medicare for all, if he actually supported it, would actually cover every single American in this country right now during this pandemic, when tens of millions of Americans were laid off and as a result were kicked off of their private health insurance. But Biden can't do that because he's a corporate sellout and he's unfortunately the better of two evils, the less evil of two evils that we're stuck with for this election at a time when everyone's telling us, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. They're right, it is. And unfortunately, we have a shitty option. And he showed how weak he was on that debate stage. Sorry, I know I'm a little fired up, but I'm just so sick of being stuck in the same position over and over again. And for all the people who think that a third party is the answer, no, it's not. Third party is gonna go nowhere. Give me some real solutions. So that's where I'm at.
The real solution is we have to find a progressive champion to run in 2024 immediately. Because whoever it is going to need 3 years to build up honestly, brand name recognition, positive branding, and get the American people to know them and to find a way around the mainstream media. Because the mainstream media not only will not cover them, but they will be furious if they primary Biden or Harris. So we got to get going right away. I don't have an easy answer. John, did you say you have an easy answer? I'm looking forward to it.
Can I say one thing? Just sorry, John. Okay, just one thing. If we put our support behind a progressive, I want a progressive who has a long inventory, huge inventory of brass knuckles. No more of this weak shit, okay? I want brass knuckles. And that's what I want. I don't want any more of this weak equivocating bullshit. Okay, go ahead, John.
I got someone who's got that too. What else you need? What else you need? AOC's got it, and I think that AOC has got to be the person. I'm not saying that AOC will be the person. I don't know if AOC is going to be ready to be the person, but on all of these things, I'm assuming, I'm not going to speak for all of you. I think for our main criteria for what a candidate needs to be able to accomplish, and more importantly, what a president needs to be able to both accomplish and prioritize, I think that she leads that group by a good bit.
I think the two most critical elements are authenticity and passion. So let's see if we can find that.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.